Three-time Pro Bowl edge Maxx Crosby is headed to the Baltimore Ravens.
You're getting a guy who you know can change the dynamic of your defense.
The Ravens, in the 31-year history of the franchise, have never used a first-round pick to trade for a player.
For the Ravens, this is an all-in move. It is a historic move.
This had an opportunity to be a win-win for everybody.
He's going to be the most feared pass rusher the Ravens have had since the days.
At noon Eastern today, they cannot be formally signed until Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, but a massive trade over the weekend as the Vegas Raiders traded Maxx Crosby to the Baltimore Ravens for a 2026 first-rounder. That's this year's draft number 14, and a 27 first-rounder. The Vegas Raiders now have 2 first-rounders in each of the next 2 years, but let's focus on the Baltimore part first. Then we will get to the Raiders part of it. CC, you played along the defensive line for the Baltimore Ravens. They have gone out there and now got themselves a stud end in Maxx Crosby. Was it the right move?
Yeah, because you realize that your window to compete for a title with Lamar Jackson in his prime ain't going to stay open forever. And the Baltimore Ravens are showing a kind of urgency this offseason to let you know they're trying to get over the hump. They moved on from a coach in John Harbaugh who promptly got a 5-year, $100 million deal from the New York Giants. So they didn't move on from Harbaugh because they didn't think Harbaugh could coach. They moved on from Harbaugh because they didn't think he was the right voice for the men in that locker room in order to get them to where they wanted to go. And now they've continued down that same rationale, that same logic, and gone out and done something that they haven't done in the history of that franchise. Did you know that in 31 years, the Baltimore Ravens have never traded a first-round draft pick for a player? Never done it. Until this weekend, when they went out and they got Maxx Crosby. And the reason why Maxx Crosby was the right guy to make that decision for is because the Baltimore Ravens needed a closer on defense. They got guys on the back 7 that can be impact players, but they didn't have anybody that they could rely on to put their hand in the dirt and go hunt the opposing quarterback when they have these large leads. How many times over the last several years have we talked about John Harbaugh's Ravens blowing double-digit lead after double-digit lead after double-digit lead? Hell, they started the season in Buffalo doing that same thing, blowing a double-digit lead in embarrassing fashion. Maxx Crosby helps you fix that. That's what pass rushers are in the NFL. They're like closers in baseball. They help to shut the opposing team's offense down. And Maxx Crosby can do that. Since he came into the league in 2019, he leads all defensive linemen in tackles for loss. He's second in quarterback pressures, and he's 5th in sacks. This guy knows how to get to the quarterback regardless of what the scheme is. He is going to elevate not just everybody on that Ravens defense, but everybody on that team in the entirety of the organization.
I'm glad you said the closer thing. It's been something that I've been pushing, you've been pushing for a while. It needs to be thought of more in the NFL, right? Like I think about my team in New England going to the Super Bowl, and when they signed Milton Williams from the Eagles, I thought, wow, that's a little too much. It felt like too much in one spot. And then I saw him play throughout the season. And then I realized I'm glad they did that because he was exactly that. He was the closer. How much of a blown double-digit lead is because of that, though? Like when you look at blown double-digit leads, blown big leads in the fourth quarter like Baltimore has had, do you look at that and say, well, if they had T-Sizzle, like Terrell Suggs, like they had back in the day, if they had a Ray Lewis, if they had anybody there that was a front 7 guy, like could you literally say they would not have blown those leads? Because you would get that sack, you would get because the TFL stat you brought up about Crosby indicates he plays the run too.
He does.
Right, so that means negative plays late in games. And if you don't have any of that, you probably don't have as much of a shot to win. I think that needs to be talked about way more in the NFL. The concept of the closer. How many times do we sit there during baseball free agency and say, okay, even the Dodgers winning back-to-back, this team's good. They went and spent $20 million on Edwin Diaz as a closer because they know they could blow those leads. Is that an underrated part of the sport right now?
Oh, no doubt. I mean, everybody understands that pass rush is at a premium, and all sacks aren't created equal, right? Getting a sack in the first quarter on first or second down is not the same as getting a sack in the 2-minute drill. It's not the same as getting a sack on third down. You know what I mean? And Maxx Crosby is a guy that has shown that when the pressure is at its greatest, when your defense has got to get a stop, when you got to get the quarterback down to get off the field, he can do that. Even when he's being, double teamed, sometimes triple teamed, he can find a way to affect the opposing quarterback. And I'm just thinking about how much better all of the other guys on the defensive side are going to be as a result of that. How good is Nnamdi Madubuike going to be on that defensive front? How good is Roquan Smith going to be? How good is Kyle Hamilton going to be?
So he can change their defense to that extent.
Well, you've invested in all of those players, and now Maxx Crosby helps you get a greater return on that investment. He is the definition of a force multiplier.
So are they Super Bowl contenders right now?
They got to fix their offensive line. They took steps, don't get me wrong, but they have to fix their offensive line. They can't be a Super Bowl contending team with a shaky offensive line. They're probably going to lose Tyler Lindenbaum, their former first-round draft pick in free agency. Word on the street is that he's probably going to sign a massive deal with the Washington Commanders in the Beltway. They've got to find a way to fix the interior of their offensive line. Until they do so, I can't go to the place of them being a Super Bowl contending team. But what we've seen them do so far this offseason has given us every indication that the Baltimore Ravens are going to be aggressive about trying to fortify their deficiencies in order to get them over the hump.
So giving up
this is the over the hump year for the elite quarterbacks in the NFL. The Buffalo Bills fired Sean McDermott because they want to get over the hump. They're doing the things that they're doing up there, making the trade for DJ Moore because they want to get over the hump. Well, guess what? It's an arms race now because the Baltimore Ravens are doing the exact same thing. So, like, when it comes to the last two quarterbacks, aside from Matt Stafford, when it comes to two of the last three MVPs, those teams are recognizing that we've got to do everything that we can to take advantage of this player, this quarterback, while he's at the height of his powers. And that's what's going to make for a fascinating free agency and offseason.
So this tells you what about Lamar and his contract then? Because he has, a $75 million cap hit right now?
Listen,
he was tweeting like crazy. He knew it was coming, obviously, because some of the tweets he put out there would indicate he was excited about what was happening next with the Ravens.
Well, we just talked about the Ravens needing to address their offensive line. They need to find a way to get more cap relief. They've got some cap room, but they need more. The best way to do that is extend Lamar. Now, they can unilaterally restructure Lamar Jackson's deal to lower his cap hit, adding to the void years, pushing some money around. But there's only one real year left on that deal, and they got to find a way to be able to add more years to that deal so they can give themselves more cap relief to go shopping and get the things that they need. Because guess what? You've given up your first-round draft pick in each of the next two drafts, including number 14 overall this year. Like, in order to add players that you can rely on to contribute this upcoming season, the best path to doing that is in free agency. And free agency is expensive. You need cap relief. So this Lamar Jackson contract extension needs to get done before the cash starts flying around on Wednesday.
All right, that's one side of it. The other side is juicy as well. The team that just gave up their star player for 2 first-rounders, what are they going to do with all of this draft capital? We will get to that after I